Today we're going to look at what happens if every single team in the NFL could steal one player from their rival. Now, I asked you guys over on Twitter a while ago to give me some input on who your favorite team would be taken from their rival. I had to wait a little bit because I wanted to see what happened in free agency, but now that that's pretty much almost over, just want to say thank you to anyone that helped me out, man. If I asked you for your input and you helped me, I appreciate you. And one quick caveat before we start, man, each team can only be used once as a rival. So for instance, the Cowboys, even though they have multiple rivals, we only use the Eagles for them and vice versa. But we begin in Chicago. They now have a quarterback, easily the best in their franchise's history, Aaron Rodgers. Now the Packers just signed Sammy Watkins to a one-year contract, but that's still not enough help at the wide receiver position. So we went ahead and gave them Darnell Mooney. But now their quarterback is Jordan Love. For the Bengals, man, their rival for this video is the Browns. So obviously they took Myles Garrett. But the Browns get a nice young stud at wide receiver from the Bengals, Jamar Chase. For the Bills, their rivals were the Patriots. And honestly, they didn't need much except for maybe some help on the O-line. So that's why we went with Trent Brown, right guard, 87 overall. And we know the Patriots just upgraded their wide receiver core with Devontae Parker. Why not do it again? Stephon Diggs is who they stole from the Bills. The Broncos trade away Noah Fant in order to get Russell Wilson. You had to do it, but now it leaves a huge hole at tight end. Enter Travis Kelce. Big target for Russell Wilson the past two. But the Chiefs now have Justin Simmons. The two Justins are going to be manning down their safety position. The Buccaneers now have CMC. That's who they stole from the Panthers. The quarterback position is looking not the best in Carolina. Enter TB12 or 1 in this experience. We got to change his number. Even though the Cardinals just re-signed AJ Green to a one-year deal, the Seahawks' best position group is easily their wide receivers. So we had to add DK Metcalf to DeAndre Hopkins to form probably the best duo in the league. The problem is they lost their quarterback. Seattle takes Kyler Murray to lead the way. He still has Tyler Lockett to throw to. Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense pretty much had no weakness except for the tight end position. Everett is a solid number 2, but now they have Darren Waller. But to get him, they had to give up someone pretty good. He goes by the name of Joey Bosa. So now the Raiders have Chandler Jones, Max Crosby, and Joey Bosa wreaking havoc. The Colts made a nice signing the other day. Stephon Gilmore is their new number 1 CB. So when it came to getting someone from the Jaguars to steal, we went with offense. How about their new right guard, Brandon Scherff? Meanwhile, the Jaguars took back a lineman of their own, Quentin Nelson. So when we're looking at Dallas, you know, they have Zach Martin, they have Tyron Smith, but that's about it from their amazing O-line. It's all gone. La'el Collins in Cincinnati now. So they still need some help on the O-line, and while we flirted with the idea of giving them Fletcher Cox, ultimately we went with the beard, Jason Kelce. The Eagles had no idea they were going to take Kelce, but they did know who they were going to steal, Micah Parsons. Dolphins made a nice splash in the offseason, no pun intended, by getting Teron Armstead at left tackle. That wasn't enough help on the O-line, so they stole Mekhi Becton from the Jets. They're going to move him to right tackle. Meanwhile, the Jets obviously stole Tyreek Hill. That's a no-brainer. The Falcons obviously have some issues at wide receiver, so it was an easy decision going with Michael Thomas. Meanwhile, the Saints had a huge hole at tight end, and now they have Kyle Pitts. The Commanders were one of the toughest ones because their rival was the G-Men, and although they already had Gibson and McKissick, the best player on the Giants has to be Saquon. You had to take him, and I guess you could technically move Gibson to wide receiver. He used to play there. Now, the Giants don't have a great running back. Remember, they're not reacting to what happened, so they don't know that Saquon was taken. They're operating as if they still have him. So from the Commanders, they ended up going with scary Terry McLaurin. The Niners, who already have Debo at wide receiver, so I know Cooper Kupp would have been a nice enticing option, but you gotta go with Aaron Donald, man. That's easy. But the Rams get a 98+ overall player themselves. Trent Williams is their new left tackle after Andrew Whitworth called it quits in the offseason. The Lions' rivals for this video were the Vikings, and they had a couple options. Vikings have a lot of talent, but the Lions need wide receiver help badly. Jay Jettas, probably their best receiver since Megatron. Vikings still have Thielen. You know, he's still a solid number 1 option, but they get some much needed O-line help. Frank Ragnow, their new center. Ravens obviously had to go with TJ Watt from the Steelers. That was a no-brainer. And the Steelers obviously had to go with Lamar Jackson. That was a no-brainer as well. And finally, the Texans steal Derrick King Henry from the Titans, easily their best running back since since Arian Foster laced them up. Meanwhile, the Titans take Laramie Tunsil to block for Ryan Tannehill. They're going to be passing a lot more without King Henry in the backfield. So now each team has given up one player and stolen one player from their rival. Things are going to get messy. Subscribe if you haven't already. Imagine if everyone watching subscribe right now. We would hit 400K tomorrow. Let's simulate the season and see what happens in this experiment. Let's go division by division, okay? The Steelers with Lamar win their division. The Bengals with Myles Garrett make the playoffs. 3 teams in the AFC South make the playoffs. The Titans with Tunsil. The Colts with Brandon Scherff. And the Jags with Quentin Nelson. The Texans go 5-12 with King Henry. The Dolphins, the only AFC East team to make it, with Mekhi Becton at right tackle. The Chiefs made it with Justin Simmons helping out their safeties. The Vikings made it with Ragnow, and the Bears with Aaron Rodgers squeak in. The Saints with Kyle Pitts go 12-5. The Panthers with TB12 obviously make the playoffs. The Cowboys with Jason Kelce at center go 15-2. The Eagles with Parsons go 11-6. And then the Cards make it with DK and DeAndre, but no Kyler. Jameis Winston leads everybody in passing yards. Herbert, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Kyle Trask round out the top 5. Mahomes led everyone with 47 passing touchdowns. Rodgers, Prescott, Wilson, and famous Jameis again. Trask threw the most interceptions. Mariota, Kaepernick went to the Ravens. Winston and Lawrence round out the top 5 for interceptions. Nick Chubb led everyone with almost 2,000 rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor was right behind him. Zeke, Dalvin Cook, and Najee round out the top 5. Mixon had 25 rushing touchdowns, the most in the league. Taylor, Chubb, Kamara, and Damon Harris. Now Keenan Allen had the most receiving yards though. Deontay Harris, Michael Thomas, Marquise Goodwin, and CeeDee Lamb. As for touchdowns, George Kittle had the most. Goodwin, Lamb, Patrick, and Gallup in the top 5 for that. Wow. What about receptions? Let's see. Deontay Harris had the most receptions. Keenan, Goodwin, Thomas, and Mooney is the same 5. Sacks wise, Jonathan Greenard led everyone with 19.5. Shaq Barrett, Harold Landry, JJ Watt, and DeForest Buckner also in that top 5. Gilmore led everyone with 5 picks. He's tied with Okereke, his teammate. Trevon Diggs, of course, Shaq Thompson, and Greenlaw in the top 5. But the MVP goes to Jalen Hurts. That's my quarterback. And here's a look at the playoff bracket. Hurts could not quite beat his rival in the NFC Championship game. The Cowboys make it to face off against the Steelers. I thought for sure the Cowboys would miss Parsons more than this, but making that O-line just unbelievable was probably a good thing for them. Obviously was. However, Lamar has proven to be an amazing addition for the Steelers. 35-7 at the start of 4th quarter, man. What is going on with the Cowboys? Their offense should have no problem. I mean, that O-line is insane. Dak, come on, my guy. There's really no excuse. It might be too little too late. The Steelers already had a nasty defense, but they lost their best defensive player, TJ Watt. Cameron Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, they still have some studs. That's what it's telling you. Also, they got Myles Jack in the offseason. Their biggest weakness really was that quarterback position. They got one of the best in the league, and you can see what happens as a result, man. They absolutely dominated it. You know what's bad? When they're celebrating 9-yard catches when they're down 28. This game's a wreck. So the Steelers come out on top in this experiment. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. As always, man, don't forget to follow all the socials if you have not already, man. Destroy the like button if you want to see more what ifs like this. Happy Easter, and I'll see you guys on the next.
Nobody's safe. Came from heaven, we fresh out the gate. And I look like I came from LA. From New Jersey, I look like LA. I'm a water, I'm forming LA. I'ma get it, it's mine for the tape. Ride the beamer when I'm out of state. Could have beat, almost got me a case. Go Olympic, I'm winning the race. 911 cause I'm killing the game. Talking crazy, I'm going insane. Shifting gears and I'm switching the lane. Hop on station, just go entertain. Going up so I'm making a name.